Hey guys, welcome back to another vlog video. This time around I will be giving a small channel update, and also we'll be talking about E3 2016, which I know there's probably a million videos out there talking about the show, but I figured I will throw in my 2 cents and talk a little bit about what my favorite games were of the show, and just giving my general thoughts of the E3 show. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Channel update: in about a week, probably next weekend, I will be posting the answers that you guys have to the questions that you guys have asked in my Q&A video. So there's still a few days left before I record the answers. So feel free to post any questions in the Q&A video, and that way I will be answering them next weekend, I believe. So again, there's a few days left, so feel free to leave more questions if you'd like. As far as the E3 show, well, I'm gonna try and be brief, but overall I thought Sony had the best conference. I thought it was easily the best for me personally. Mostly because they unveiled a bunch of new games. The new God of War, for example, which looks very different from the other God of War games, and I really like this new slower approach with a third person behind the back view. It feels very different, and it feels a little bit more slow paced and more quote unquote mature, if you will. And I'm definitely looking forward to a God of War, which is the first time ever. I don't hate the God of War games, but they're the types of games that I play every now and then. But this particular God of War, if it maintains that slower paced, more methodical, more mature view, I think it'll become a very fun game to play. Hopefully it remains that way. Because I'm in all honesty, I don't want to say tired, but all the other God of War games are very, very similar. You know, hack and slash, over the top, brutal violence, and all that. So this one feels different, and in my opinion, that's a plus. Another cool thing is we got more footage from Horizon, which is another game that I'm very interested in. I'm basically sold in the atmosphere of the game by itself, which is a combination of a prehistorical setting with high tech. The enemies are robots, and the environment just looks amazing, and I'm really, really excited to play that game, which unfortunately comes out next year, but it should be early next year. And we finally got a release date for The Last Guardian, which is a game that has been in the making forever. So we will get to finally play that game later this year. And yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if I'm gonna get it day one. It releases in October, so I figured if I'm patient and I wait one more month, it'll probably be on sale during Black Friday. So at this point, I figured if I can wait 30 more days, for Black Friday, if I waited this many years, I can probably wait an extra 30 days. So I think I'll be doing that. Days Gone is a new IP, the new game being developed by Sony Bend, which is the developer behind the Uncharted Golden Abyss. To be honest, the game looks amazing, but it hasn't really grabbed my attention that much, because it's yet another post-apocalyptic game featuring zombies. Sure enough, that this time around the hook is that you're getting attacked by a million of zombies that are very fast, and they chase you. But I'm having my doubts as to how the game will play. The demo that they showed looked very scripted, very, I don't know, just very not very real. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting more footage before I pass judgment on that game. But I got The Last of Us vibes from that game, as far as the atmosphere and the scenery used in the game. It's yet another post-apocalyptic game featuring zombies. And then, speaking of zombies, Resident Evil 7 was announced, but the surprise here was that there were no zombies, at least in the trailer that they showed. It's a very PT first-person like horror game that focuses more on the horror aspect, like a horror movie. And to be honest, I'm not I'm excited. I have downloaded the demo. I haven't played it yet, but I'm a little bit worried because for me, Resident Evil games are, when I think of Resident Evil games, I think about Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. And I was hoping that the series would go to that original route, but I guess they're trying to spin the wheel yet again and do something different like they did with Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6, which turned out pretty well for Capcom. And Resident Evil 7 looks, again, it looks interesting, but at the same time, I'm worried because I would rather have a mainline game in the series to be something more traditional. I don't mind them having a spin-off game featuring, a first-person view like PT, but in that regard, I'm a little bit worried. But we'll see. This is just a demo that they published now, and I'm excited to play it. I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. But we'll see what happens. And speaking of first-person view, a lot of VR stuff got announced. Everything looked very interesting, but I'm trying to keep my expectations and hype in check because a lot of the stuff showed at E3 were just demos. They had a Star Wars Battlefront X-Wing demo, and they had a Batman Arkham demo, which, from what I understand, these are like very short games, like 20 to 30 minutes, and the game is over. But at the same time, they're very, very engrossing. Very, just it looks fantastic as far as people that have used the VR and people that play those demos have said that they're just absolutely amazing. So. I'm keeping my expectations in check for VR. I will probably get, or I'll be interested in getting a VR headset for the PS4, but there's no way I'm getting that day one. It's just too much money, $400 or $500 depending on the bundle that you choose. So for now, I'll just be an spectator and just wait and have a wait and see approach with in regards to virtual reality. Let's see what else. Sony conference. It was the best. It was very concise, no bullshit, just pure gameplay, which was good. It was shorter than in previous years. It was only about an hour long, which I thought it was interesting. And no investors out there saying, we sold this many PS4s. Straight to the point gameplay, which I thought it was fantastic. But if I had to mention one flaw from their conference was Gravity Rush 2, which is one of my most anticipated PS4 games. They did not show any footage at all during their presentation. They just had a small trailer the next day, which I thought it was bizarre because that trailer looks absolutely fantastic. And I believe games like Gravity Rush 2, Yakuza 0, and the new Gran Turismo, and even Nier Automata, which is coming also for the PS4, they should have had their own space during their main conference. Just like 30 seconds, a minute, just to build up the hype for those games. In my opinion, I was a little bit confused as to why Sony decided against showing those games, because Gravity Rush 2, in my opinion, looks absolutely amazing. And they also had Hideo Kojima come in, and he lost it. He had the trailer for his new game, Life Stranded or something like that. Yeah, it's very confusing. I don't know how can people get hyped after watching something like that. To me, it made no sense. But that game it will probably come out like 2 or 3 years from now. So we'll see what happens. Also, no mention of the PS4K or the PS4 Neo, which I thought it was interesting. And I bet all the money in the world that Sony's taking a wait-and-see approach. Since Microsoft did not unveil many details about the Scorpio, I think Sony is playing it safe, and they decided not to announce their PS4 Neo, which the rumors out there, which are very trustworthy, people, insiders in the industry have said that the PS4 Neo is just a slightly more powerful PlayStation 4. But I think Sony, after watching the Microsoft conference, they decided to pull that out and go back to the drawing board, because the Xbox Scorpio, it's they announced it, and it's gonna have like a super powerful core and CPU and everything like that, and it'll be like a super powerful console, like a souped up PC basically. So I think Sony, they had a very non-powerful console, so they're gonna go back to the drawing board, and I'm assuming they're gonna try and match the specs of the Scorpio. I don't know how that's gonna work out. The Scorpio is not going to be unveiled until next year, according to Microsoft, officially. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays along. So not a whole lot of information on these new upgraded consoles. And since we talked a little bit about Microsoft already, I thought their conference was very good as well. They showed a lot of games straight to the point, but they did not have that punch that Sony had. Games that I'm excited from Microsoft are Forza Horizon 3, looks fantastic. Is set on Australia, so it looks very fun. Another game that looked really good was We Happy Few, which looks like a Bioshock-esque type of game. Looks like a survival combined with like psychological thriller aspects. So I'm somewhat excited to get more information about that game. And also the new State of Decay game, which I think looks very fun. I have not played the first one, but apparently this sequel will be much improved, and it will focus obviously on online play with other people. So I'm excited to try that game when it comes out. I do have to say that two of the games that I was very excited, I lost hype for them, and I'm talking about Recore and Scalebound. Both demos were, I don't know, the games look good. I will probably buy them, but at this point they went from being a day one purchase to just a wait and see approach. I will definitely get them at one point or another, but for some reason I just lost my hype. They don't look as interesting as I thought they would be. But nevertheless, Recore and Scalebound, two exclusives for the Xbox One that I'm interested in trying. Then they had a bunch of other stuff like Killer Instinct Season 3 and so forth. And a lot of people were freaking out because Xbox One now went the route of being compatible with Windows 10 machines. And for me personally, that's not a negative. That's like people keep saying there's no reasoning to buying an Xbox One, but I don't know, man. If you guys can if you guys can find me a PC reg for under $300 that has the specs to run those games, like Forza Horizon 3, Gears of War 4, let me know, and I will buy a PC to play those Xbox One games. But for now, I'm happy with my Xbox One. I bought it for $300 or so, and it's plugged to my TV, comfy couch, and everything. So again, if you guys figured a way to buy a PC for under $300 that will play those games, let me know, and I will definitely criticize Microsoft. But until then, I think the Xbox One is a very good option and a pretty solid console with a good library of games. It's just that the PS4 is just so much better in terms of third-party support and exclusives that it's overshadowing the good library that the Xbox One has, in my opinion. And finally, we have Nintendo, which had one of the most disappointing showings in recent memory. The funny thing is that Nintendo prepared all of us for this. They announced a couple months ago that they were only going to show Zelda Wii U for this show, and sure enough, that's what they did. They did have some smaller surprises here and there, but they were not obviously enough to overshadow the Sony and Microsoft conferences. And oddly enough, Nintendo had obviously the worst conference by far, or it wasn't even a conference, it was just the Treehouse live streaming panel. But they had, in my opinion, the best game of the show, which is the Zelda Breath of the Wind, I believe it's called. And very interesting approach, very different from other Zelda games. It feels more open world. It feels like you can do just about anything in the open. Graphics look amazing. It looks like a Studio Ghibli movie. I was very impressed with the amount of stuff that you can do out in the open, cutting trees to make new paths, push boulders to kill enemies. There's a lot of interaction with the environment, which I think is pretty cool. I'm a little bit worried. There were some areas that look a little bit empty, but Nintendo admitted that they turned off some enemies just to showcase what the game will look like. And I don't know. I'm worried about the balance. How much enemies are they gonna fit in there, and just the overall objective of the game. But apparently, this is open world. You can tackle the dungeons at any order you want. The map I was reading. It's about the size of Xenoblade X Chronicles, which is Xenoblade X for the Wii U, which is a very huge game. And I don't know. I'm super excited for this Zelda game to come out. Obviously, this is the Wii U version being showed, and they also announced that the NX will have a version. So this makes the NX a very enticing purchase on day one, just for the sole fact of playing the superior version of the Zelda Breath of the Wind. So I'm excited for that game. Obviously, in my opinion, or for me personally, I'm a huge Zelda fan. No surprises. It was my game of the show, and the excitement. People were forming lines for up to 5 hours just to play this game. It was absolutely amazing. So a lot of positive reactions from people that have played and seen the game. So I'm excited for that. And then they show a little bit of Pokemon Sun and Moon. More of the same. It does have a graphical overhaul. But the overall gameplay it's more Pokemon, which is fine. That game is always fun, but nothing spectacular out of it. And they showed Paper Mario Color Splash, which looks amazingly good on the Wii U. This is a Wii U exclusive, and it looks very good. Unfortunately, the gameplay looks like it'll be somewhat of a sequel to Sticker Star on the 3DS. So. Once again, Nintendo bypasses the RPG elements that made the other previous Paper Mario games so much fun to play. So in that regard, a little bit disappointing, but what can you do? They also announced a new JRPG for the 3DS being developed by Grezzo. I think it's called Ever Oasis, it looks very similar to Fantasy Life, the chibi characters and very charming characters overall. So yeah, looking forward to that game. Probably not a day one purchase for me, but nevertheless, another JRPG that we all welcome with open arms for the 3DS. And then Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which is about to come out in the US. They had a little bit of gameplay, and I guess one of the surprises was Rhythm Heaven for the 3DS, the latest game in the franchise, was immediately available for download after the show, which it's pretty cool, but at the same time disappointing in the sense that apparently there will be no physical version of the game coming out in North America. So disappointed to hear that there's no physical version, but nevertheless, I will probably be buying the download for that game because I really enjoyed the previous entries, both for the DS and the Nintendo Wii. So that's it, guys. Overall, well, I guess I'll do my top 3 games. Definitely by far number 1, my game of the show was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wind for the Wii U. And number 2, I would probably say Gravity Rush 2, which again, Sony really confused me. That game looks amazing, but they decided not to show the trailer for it during their conference, which it's confusing to me, but what can you do? But Gravity Rush 2, my second favorite game of the show. And for third place, I'm not really sure. I guess a tie. There's a couple of games that I'm very interested, but I would probably say Resident Evil 7. I'm optimistic about that game, but at the same time, I don't want the game to be entirely on first-person view. So I guess that's another wait-and-see approach. But the fact that they announced it in such a surprising way with the demo being available right after the show, I thought it was a very nice bonus and a very nice surprise. So I guess I will pick Resident Evil 7 as the third choice. But overall, it was a pretty good E3. Obviously, not as good as the previous year, in which we had many surprises, like Shenmue 3 being announced, The Last Guardian being reactivated, so to speak, and other surprises like Nier and so forth. But not a very surprising E3, but I thought it was a pretty good one. A lot of new games coming out next year, especially. So I'm excited for it. And hopefully you guys enjoy the show as well and this video. And I guess I will talk to you guys later. Take it easy.